Every senior makes this walking mistake, and then one day, they can't get back up. You won't see it coming. There's no warning label, no sudden pain, just one ordinary step that quietly rewires everything until your body no longer catches you when you fall. Andrew Huberman calls it a neural shutdown. A slow erosion of the feedback loops your body depends on to stay upright. And once it starts, it doesn't stop unless you stop it. Because the mistake isn't about walking, it's about what walking becomes when you're no longer aware you're doing it wrong. And it all starts with a moment you've probably already lived through. Let's go there. The day it all changes. It doesn't start with drama. It starts with something small. A step, a shift in weight, a crack in the sidewalk you've crossed 100 times. You don't trip, you don't slip, but your body doesn't recover like it used to. Your foot lands slightly off. Your reflex lags by just half a second. And suddenly, your world tilts. It's not the fall that surprises you. It's how long it takes to get up. Because for the first time, your legs don't rush to lift you. Your hands can't find leverage, and your mind, racing with questions, asks one that changes everything. What just happened to me? You weren't being careless. You weren't rushing. You weren't even doing anything differently. Or so you thought. But the truth is, something had been changing for years. Not all at once. Not loud, quietly, subtly, step by step. You see, this moment didn't come out of nowhere. It was built over time by repetition, by a walking habit so common, so automatic, you never thought twice about it. And that's the mistake. Not the stumble, not the fall. The mistake was already in your body, built into your posture, your rhythm, your nervous system. Andrew Huberman describes it as a feedback failure, when your brain stops getting the information it needs to keep you stable because your movements have become passive, checked out, disconnected. You've been walking the way most seniors walk, with less engagement, less range, less control, but it doesn't feel dangerous until the day your body asks you to recover and you can't. That's why falls seem sudden, because the decline that causes them isn't. You don't notice when the walking mistake begins, you only notice when the ground is too close and your strength is too far behind. But the fall isn't the mistake, it's just the moment that exposes it, and what comes next is where the real damage begins. The silent shift that rewires your gait. You didn't change the way you walk on purpose. It happened slowly, without your permission. At first, your steps got a little shorter. You started looking down more often. Your arms stopped swinging. Your feet began landing flatter, heavier, without the same rhythm they once had. And you told yourself it was normal, just part of getting older. But it wasn't age. It was adaptation. A silent shift in your gait, happening step by step, as your body adjusted to small discomforts, little imbalances, and invisible fears. You didn't notice it because it didn't hurt. It just felt easier, safer, more stable, until it wasn't. Andrew Huberman warns about this kind of adaptation. He calls it a neurological compromise, when the brain starts receiving less sensory input from your body and begins to trust it less. When that happens, your balance system doesn't just weaken, it withdraws. It stops reacting quickly. It stops anticipating. You move through space like your body is disconnected from the ground beneath you. This is the real walking mistake. It's not just how your foot hits the floor, it's how your entire system, the way your eyes scan, the way your core engages, the way your spine aligns, begins to operate on autopilot, and that autopilot gets worse over time. When you stop moving with full awareness, your muscles stop firing with full strength. When your arms stop swinging, your momentum drops. When your feet flatten out instead of rolling heel to toe, your base of support narrows. You become more rigid, more cautious, and you start walking not with confidence, but with quiet hesitation. But here's the trap. That hesitation doesn't feel like danger. It feels like safety. And that's why this mistake is so devastating, because it hides behind the feeling of being careful. It tells you to look down instead of forward. It tells you to shorten your stride instead of open it. It tells you to protect yourself while it slowly takes away your ability to do exactly that. Your body listens to how you walk, and so does your brain. The more you repeat the wrong movement patterns, the more your nervous system rewires around them. And what begins as a minor shift in your gait becomes a full-blown breakdown in balance and coordination. This isn't about age, it's about signals. Your body needs constant high-quality input to maintain stability. And when that input disappears, so does your ability to respond. That's why this mistake goes unnoticed, because you're walking into silence. And one day when something unexpected happens, there's no signal left to save you. You didn't just fall. You stopped walking in a way that made your brain feel safe, and now your body doesn't know how to respond when the world shifts beneath your feet. but the consequences go deeper than your legs, because once this mistake rewires your steps, it starts to rewire your brain. How the brain adapts to your mistake and then makes it worse. Your brain is always listening. It listens to your posture, to your breath, to the way your feet meet the floor, and most importantly, it listens to how much you challenge it or how much you don't. When you stop walking with intention, your brain doesn't just accept it, it adjusts, it rewires, it adapts, but not in your favor. Andrew Huberman explains this as a double-edged sword of neuroplasticity. The same mechanism that helps you recover from injury or learn a new skill is also the one that slowly builds decline when you repeat the wrong pattern over and over. Your nervous system is neutral. It doesn't care whether you're improving or decaying. It just follows the signals. So when you make the walking mistake, when you stop moving with strength, stop scanning with your eyes, stop engaging your arms and core, your brain reads that as a new normal. It lowers the standard. It shrinks your safety net. It prepares for less. And the scariest part is you don't feel it happening. There's no alert, no warning tone. You just start hesitating more when you walk into a room. You turn slower. You avoid the stairs. You step off the curb and feel unsure. These aren't aging problems. They're neural adaptation problems. And they start long before your first real fall. Your brain is trying to protect you, but it's doing it the wrong way. It starts limiting movement instead of supporting it. It starts bracing for failure instead of training for strength. And slowly, fear creeps in. Not loud, not obvious, just enough to change how you move, just enough to make you cautious when you used to be confident. The feedback loop tightens. You move less, so your brain trusts you less. Your brain trusts you less, so you move even less. What began as a minor gait adjustment becomes a full-blown neurological freeze. And when that loop gets locked in, something terrifying happens. You lose your edge, the edge that once let you catch yourself mid-stumble, the edge that helped you react when a step surprised you or the ground shifted beneath you. That edge is gone, not because your body gave out, but because your brain stopped believing in it. This is why so many seniors describe their first major fall as shocking, because it didn't match how they felt. They thought they were fine. They thought their instincts would catch them, but the instincts had been rewired years ago, and they never knew. Your brain takes its cues from your movement, and when the mistake becomes your default, your brain no longer prepares you to recover. It prepares you to collapse. And that's not just a physical risk. It's a mental one, because the next thing to go is your trust in your own body. When your body pretends it's fine until it snaps. You feel steady until you're not. That's the lie your body tells you. It whispers comfort into routines you've done 1,000 times. Walking across the kitchen, getting out of a chair, turning the corner in your hallway, nothing dramatic, nothing out of the ordinary. And so you assume everything's working just fine. But your body has gotten good at covering for you. It tightens muscles that used to flow. It locks joints that used to move freely. It compensates for what's missing without asking your permission. And for a while, that works. You don't notice the change because the change is quiet. But one day, something small happens, and the body that was pretending suddenly stops pretending. You reach sideways, you misstep, you twist just a little too fast, and everything that's been compensating for months gives out, not with a warning, with a snap, with a loss of balance that seems impossible, with a fall that seems like it came from nowhere. But it didn't come from nowhere. It came from the mistake, the walking mistake where your steps became stiff instead of fluid, where your weight shifted forward, your eyes dropped, your arms stopped helping, and your feet no longer rolled heel to toe. Over time, that pattern weakened the entire structure meant to hold you up. Your posture rounded, your core stopped activating, your reflexes slowed, your ankles lost their range, and your brain, the control tower, started getting less data from every part of your system. Less data means slower reaction, less coordination, less strength when it's needed most. The worst part is you felt okay. That's what makes it so dangerous. You thought you were fine because you hadn't fallen yet. But a body can function in survival mode for a long time before it shows you how much trouble it's really in. This is what Andrew Huberman warns about, the illusion of stability, the idea that just because you're still walking, you're walking well. But walking isn't the same as moving confidently. And confidence doesn't come from luck. It comes from mechanics, from feedback, from movement patterns that support you, not sabotage you. You didn't stop walking, you just stopped walking right. And that mistake builds tension into your entire system until something breaks, until the margin for error disappears, until you need one more second of balance and your body has nothing left to give you. That's why this mistake is so cruel. Because it doesn't feel like danger. It feels like normal, but it's not normal and it's not safe. And if you've made it this far, if you've recognized even one of these shifts in your own steps, then you're already ahead. Because what happens next is where the mistake can finally be undone. The rebuild, how to walk like you're supposed to, you can't go back to the way you used to move, but you can go forward, smarter, stronger, on purpose. That's what Andrew Huberman emphasizes over and over again. Your nervous system isn't fixed in place. It's plastic, it's teachable, it's waiting for new information. And the way you walk is information. Every step you take can either reinforce the mistake or begin to reverse it. It starts with awareness, because until now your walking was automatic. You didn't think about where your eyes were, or how your foot landed, or whether your arms moved at all. You just walked, and that's the problem. To rebuild, you need to break that autopilot. You need to take your steps back from the background of your life and make them intentional again. Start with your gaze. You've been looking down, maybe for safety, maybe out of habit. But when your eyes drop, so does your head. And when your head tilts forward, everything shifts. Your spine, your balance, your center of gravity. The fix? Look 10 to 15 feet ahead. Keep your gaze at eye level. Let your neck lift. Let your posture follow. Then feel your feet again. You've probably been walking flat-footed without realizing it. Or worse, landing on your toes. That's like walking on stilts. You need to go back to how your body was designed to move, heel to toe. Each step should start with your heel, then roll through the middle of your foot and finish with a gentle push off your toes. Smooth, controlled, like a wave rolling forward. And don't forget your arms. You might not think they matter, but they're part of your balance system. If they're stiff or frozen at your sides, your torso has to do all the work. Let your arms swing, naturally, opposite your legs. They're not decoration, they're your counterbalance. Then comes your core. This is your anchor, the center that holds everything together. You don't need to clench, you don't need to strain, just zip it up gently. Pull your belly button inward as if you're tightening a vest around your spine. That's your stability, that's your control. That's what protects you when your feet find uneven ground. And finally, check your base. If you've been walking with your feet too close together, you've been narrowing your foundation. It may feel efficient, but it's actually dangerous. Your feet should be hip-width apart. That's how you create a rectangle of support, not a tightrope of risk. None of this feels natural at first. That's normal. You've spent years walking one way. You can't flip the pattern overnight, but your brain is listening. And with repetition, it begins to rewire. It starts to recognize these new signals as truth, and truth becomes habit. This isn't a workout. It's not a routine you'll do for a few weeks and forget. This is movement correction. It's you, relearning how to stay upright, stay alert, stay independent. The walking mistake taught your brain to expect less from you. Now you're teaching it to expect more. And once that rewiring begins, you'll feel something you haven't felt in a long time, stability without fear. But even if your steps are steady, there's still one place the mistake hides. It's in the transitions. And that's where most people lose everything, without realizing they were at risk at all. The transitions that take you down. Most people think falls happen while walking, mid-stride, on a sidewalk, out in the open. But that's not true. The most dangerous moments aren't when you're in motion. They're when you're changing motion, when you're standing up from a chair, turning to answer someone, stopping at the edge of a rug, stepping from hardwood to tile, pivoting around the kitchen counter. These moments seem harmless, but they're where your body is most vulnerable because everything is shifting at once. Your balance, your direction, your footing, your momentum. If your nervous system isn't fully tuned in, it's in trouble. And that one walking mistake you've been working to correct, it sneaks back in during these transitions, quiet, fast, unforgiving. Andrew Huberman calls this a moment of recalibration failure. That's when your brain and body don't sync in time to prevent a fall, because by the time your foot moves, your posture hasn't caught up, or your eyes haven't looked where they're going, or your core hasn't engaged, and then it's too late. That's why even after fixing your gait, people still fall. Not because they're weak, but because they forget to give transitions the same respect they give every step. You need to treat these moments like they matter, because they do. And the tool that protects you here is almost ridiculously simple, and it's a pause, a 3-second pause, before you change direction, before you get up, before you step down, stop, just for a breath, just for a blink. During that pause, you're giving your nervous system time to catch up, time to scan, time to stabilize. You're saying to your body, get ready, we're doing something new. You check your posture, you re-engage your core, you lift your gaze, and then you move. It might feel slow at first, too slow, but slowness is not weakness. Slowness is control, and control is what stops a broken hip from ending your independence. That pause becomes your edge, your advantage, the thing that buys you just enough time to stay on your feet when everything else is shifting. You can even anchor it to your environment. Place small stickers by the places you tend to rush, by the stairs, near the bathroom door, next to your favorite chair. Let them remind you to pause just until it becomes automatic, just until your brain learns the new rhythm: slow, stabilize, then step. It's not just how you walk that determines your safety. It's how you shift between movements. And when you take ownership of those moments, you take ownership of everything that comes after. Because the final stage of this transformation isn't about avoiding falls. It's about becoming someone who moves through the world like they belong there again. Reclaiming your body before it's too late. Something happens when you walk right again. Something quiet, but powerful, not loud, not dramatic. Just a feeling you haven't felt in a very long time. You don't just feel stronger, you feel awake, present, reconnected with yourself. It's subtle at first. You catch yourself standing taller in the mirror, not slouched or bracing. You turn corners without holding your breath. You reach overhead or step sideways without flinching. You walk into rooms, not with caution, but with command. And somewhere in your chest, where hesitation and doubt used to live, there's a new presence. Not adrenaline, not arrogance, confidence. Not the loud kind that tries to convince others you're fine. The quiet kind that tells you you're finally safe in your body again. Andrew Huberman talks about this as more than just recovery. He calls it neural restoration, not just repairing balance, but restoring identity. When your nervous system reawakens, your body stops moving like it's avoiding injury and starts moving like it remembers how to live. You begin walking not because you must, but because you want to. You take the long way around the block not to test yourself, but because it feels good to move again. You carry your groceries with both hands, not calculating every step, not scanning for the nearest surface to offload. You make it up the stairs and pause, not to catch your breath, but to notice. You're no longer afraid of coming back down. And when you arrive somewhere, anywhere, you don't have to explain yourself. You're just there on your own terms because something inside has shifted. Not just your stride, your relationship with movement, your relationship with the ground, your relationship with control. The mistake, the one that rewired your body, stole your posture, dulled your reflexes, that mistake isn't part of you anymore. It's part of your past, something you recognized, faced, and refused to let define you. And now, with every corrected step, you widen the distance between who you were and who you're becoming. You start to notice the ground less, not because you're ignoring it, but because your body now knows what to do with it. Your feet feel smarter, your transitions feel automatic, your reactions feel alive. Your balance isn't something you think about anymore, it's something you trust. Walking no longer feels like surviving, it feels like returning to yourself. And this isn't just a better way to move, it's a better way to live. You didn't just prevent a fall, you interrupted a slow collapse that was quietly stealing years from you, years of strength, confidence, joy, all of it, hidden beneath a walking mistake that never looked dangerous until it nearly took you down. And now, you've taken your steps back. You don't need a medical report to know something's changed. You feel it, in your joints, in your breath, in your mood, in the simple moments that no longer exhaust you. And perhaps most important of all, you don't wait anymore. You don't wait to feel strong. You don't wait to feel ready. You don't wait for the next fall to remind you what's at stake. You already know. You walk like someone who has something to protect. Because you do. Your independence, your dignity, your momentum, your presence in the life you're still meant to live. This is the part no one talks about. The part after the mistake is corrected. The part where strength becomes normal again. The part where you stop surviving your day and start enjoying it. The part where you move not because you're being careful, but because you're being free. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You've already proven it to yourself. You just need to keep walking, deliberate, grounded, alive, like the ground will meet you every time, because now it will.